It's 11 o'clock. This is Night and Muse with Jason Tweed, and I am Jason Tweed. Welcome. Fridays are going to be a little bit different. I've decided that on Friday evenings, I'm going to do two things. One is a little recap of the week because I'm starting to realize that, first of all, most people uh, haven't been with us all week. And second of all, um, sometimes things change. So we're going to do a quick recap of our topics from Monday through Thursday. And then the second topic for Friday nights is going to be how to make money sitting on your butt. And this will be the first episode of how to make money sitting on your butt. First of all, to recap what we've talked about this week, the Monday was our first episode. It was kind of an intro episode talking about the format and the things that we plan to discuss. I want to do some lighthearted topics, but also some very newsworthy and timely stuff every night, and give you some insight. You won't see me ranting, but at the same time, I want to be able to share my opinions and listen to yours. I want this to be an interactive show. Hopefully, there'll be people commenting and participating. The other thing is that we have the capability coming soon to be real interactive. We experimented with that in the Wednesday night show, or I'm sorry, the Thursday night show, with a calling guest who discussed we discussed whether it's better to be a superhero with supernatural powers or just to be super rich and make your own self a superhero. I lost the argument. I was the capitalist pig that wanted the superpower to be $1 billion. However, I think my sparring partner made some good points, so I hope that you'll tune into that episode as well. On Wednesday, we discussed Bill Cosby and Brett Kavanaugh, and the conclusion I came to was that Bill Cosby was a lifetime sexual predator and was sentenced to 3 to 10 years, which is probably not enough penance, but it's all that he could be convicted of because of statute of limitations. However, my belief at that time was that Brett Kavanaugh was not the same kind of person. There didn't seem to be a history of predator behavior. It seemed to be more incidents and bad decisions and immaturity and drunkenness. And unfortunately, while it's not making it right, it certainly doesn't mold you for the remainder of your life. That's what I thought. However, we've seen more and more information coming out, and I think that it's going to be a toss-up, which way it'll shake down in the end. Today there was some news on that front. The Senate Judiciary Committee moved the confirmation from committee to the full Senate, which, if you're not familiar with how that works, 21 senators, 11 Republicans, and 10 Democrats interviewed Kavanaugh and interviewed some others, including Professor Ford and decided that it would be moved to the big Senate for a vote. Normally, that's kind of an endorsement, and the vote is a sure thing. However, in this case, it's not because uh, Senator Jeff Flake, a Republican, and several senators on the Democrat side requested that the Senate delay the hearings for a week and allow the FBI to investigate. Now, the Senate is under no obligation to do that. Mitch McConnell could call for a vote as early as Tuesday. However, my hope, and I think that the committee's hope, is that the FBI will investigate to see if there is any crimes committed, and then the vote will be later in the week. Obviously, if there were crimes committed, or if there is a strong indication that charges are going to be brought, then they will vote against confirming Brett Kavanaugh. However, if there is no evidence that a recent crime has been committed, because some of these, the statute of limitations has run out, then I feel like the Republicans are going to use this as a way to confirm Kavanaugh by saying the FBI could not find evidence enough to bring charges, and that's good enough for us. So they've kind of wormed their way into a scapegoat as well. I don't know how it's going to shake out. It's going to be very tough on the two prominent female senators that are Republicans, because these two senators are going to face backlash among women voters if they vote to confirm Kavanaugh. And that could put them at risk for losing their seat. It'll be interesting to find. I think that Senator Collins from Maine is the most at risk, because Maine is generally a Republican state. However, New England is very Democrat. So Maine is one that could flip-flop. We'll have to see. I don't want to get too much into that because we don't have a lot of information. So I'm going to move on to our next segment, which is how to make money sitting on your butt. Now, I don't talk about my disability very often. I try only to talk about it when it's relevant to a discussion. However, I think it is relevant in this case. I've been disabled my whole life, as you can see by the handlebars behind my shoulders. I am a wheelchair user. My voice and speech patterns are not purely, they're not perfect, and that's because I have atrophy in my tongue, which is a muscle, and my disability affects people's muscles. However, that's not the main topic tonight. The main topic is I learned to make a living sitting on my butt in front of a computer entirely on my own. The last time I had a job where I collected a regular paycheck was in 1997. So it's been more than 20 years since I've been gainfully employed, and yet I still earn a good living, and I do it. I've done a wide variety of things because as technology changes and marketing changes, my expertise is in marketing. I have to constantly evolve. So I've created, in a sense, a number of careers over the years, from e-commerce to writing and creating content for a living, to management consulting. And currently, I run a digital marketing agency that specializes in video marketing, and that's part of the reason I started this uh, podcast, is because I wanted to get that experience under my belt of doing a live broadcast on YouTube. So I literally have sat on my butt in front of a computer connected to the internet for 20 years and made a living. So it's definitely possible. And over the next several months, every Friday, I'm going to share some of the things that I've learned and give you some of the techniques that I've used to make a living. The first thing that you have to realize is the internet is a very fair place. It doesn't matter if you're old or young. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. It doesn't matter if you speak English well or speak another language. You can either be judged on your merits, or you can find a unique niche that is so specialized that your skills are in demand. And those are the only two ways to make a living. One is to be better than your competitors, or the other is to eliminate as many competitors as possible. When you do both of those things, you can do very well. And there are some people who have made millions on the internet. I figured out one time that I've sold over $6 million worth of goods and services online since I began. Now, that may seem like a lot, but realize that wasn't that I made $6 million in cash. It means some of the times I was selling things and reselling them. So I was buying and reselling. Other times it was selling on behalf of other companies where I was paid as a consultant to develop their products and services. But I can trace $6 million worth of revenue generated directly to my personal activities. So I feel pretty accomplished by that, and it certainly can be done. Now, how to do it is the tricky part. The first thing you have to do is you have to be good at something. If you're not good at something, go get good at something. And that's what we're going to talk about today. There are a couple of resources that if you're just beginning in working for yourself online, that you can help yourself become more educated. And we're going to start with the cheapest ones because, of course, you can go to college online and spend $30,000. But in most cases, what you'll find is you can learn the same skills on YouTube for free. It's harder because you have to hunt for them. It's not as well organized or as well structured, but you certainly can develop those skills. So tonight I want to talk about a couple of sources. The first one is the Khan Academy, Khan. And the Khan Academy was started as a nonprofit free education source. And they actually started with some basic classes, like high school level classes, because there's a huge number of people that, if you were like me, I had to study Algebra 2 last year with my son because it was a struggle for him, but I hadn't had Algebra 2 since high school. So I had to relearn it in order to help him study for exams. And so that's one great thing about the Khan Academy is it provides very basic education up through very advanced education. The other great thing about them is all their coursework is free. Some of them are sponsored. For example, there's a course on basic money management, and it's sponsored by a credit card company. There are other courses that are funded by grants to help maintain them for free. And then some of them are just there by the grace of the organization. So check them out at Khan Academy. I believe it's .com. But do a Google search, you'll find them. The next one I want to mention is Lynda. Lynda, Lynda, is a set of instruction and courses. And those are paid, but they're relatively inexpensive, especially if you really want to dig into them. They have individual courses that are priced around $100. And then they have a subscription-based program. And I've been a subscriber for years. The subscriptions are $20 or $25 a month. Last time I checked. But $25 a month, and you get unlimited use of all of their courses. So if you really want to dig into learning and you're dedicated to it, you can get a lot of information, a lot of value, and courses that are updated very regularly, which is something I like. I learned to use Photoshop. I learned to use Dreamweaver. I learned to use learned to use WordPress, a number of creative and web development softwares that I had to be self-taught because they all came out after I had graduated with my degrees. So anyhow, I learned them all there. The other thing I like is that they only have courses for the most recent versions of the software generally. So once a new piece of software comes out with a new version, they create a course on it as quickly as they can. It's weighted towards software, but they do have other types of business and online marketing courses and a few things that are more in the creative realm, such as creative writing and photography. But generally speaking, you're going to get a lot of value if you want to learn how to use pretty much any software package. They do have a few gaps, which is something that's a little frustrating to me, because when they have them, they're very well laid out, they're well taught, they have a great system, and then if there's a software they don't have, I really question whether I even want to learn it, because you end up going and finding a hodgepodge of tutorials. The other good source is YouTube right here. YouTube is fantastic if you search for a very specific problem. I remember I was using Excel and I bought a list of names and addresses to do a mailing. And zip codes in the Northeast start with 0. So when I imported this list into Excel, it took the numbers such as, I don't know, Maine, which is probably 00101, and it just shortened it to 101. And so any of the New England zip codes that start with 0 were reduced to 3 or 4 digit numbers. And if you add the zeros in and then you save it, Excel simply undoes it again. It was a real pain. But I found a tutorial on YouTube that showed very specifically how to solve that particular formatting issue. And it's trickier than it should have been because it was not intuitive, but luckily someone had solved it, and someone or several people made videos that showed how you can reformat that particular column so that it works with zip codes when you're printing out addresses. Very specific problem, but I found a solution in about 20 minutes that I never would have found by experimenting. And I did not find it when I looked in the Microsoft knowledge base. So that's what I like about YouTube, is that if there's a problem that's odd and weird, somebody probably has made a video to teach you how to solve it. The other great part is it's free. Then there are lots of other online courses. There are lots of other online collections of courses. There's a program called Coursera. There's one called Udemy. It's a Udemy. So check them out and go and get smarter, because the first step in making money while sitting on your butt is being smarter than the people who are out there making money in other ways. So that's my advice to you. Next week, we're going to do more of a call-in show, and I'm looking forward to that. I have a favor to ask. If you're watching this, please subscribe to my channel and also like the videos. And that's really important to me right now, because I need to get to 100 subscribers to get a nice domain name so that you can go to our website and simply watch the videos nightly very easily. But I have to have a static YouTube address in order to make that happen. And YouTube doesn't give them out until you have 100 subscribers. So I'm moving forward. I have 30 days to do it. So please subscribe, and we'll talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.